got my notes, I've got my props, I've got a wedgie, let's do this.
It's pronounced Leela!
Probably very appropriate that I'm wearing a Harry Potter Alliance t-shirt today. This week's book of the week is This Star Won't Go Out by Esther Earl. As it states on the cover, right here, this is the life and words of Esther Grace Earl. It's a heartbreaker. This story tells the tale of Esther, who was a person with cancer, not cancer incarnate. A human being who was alive with thoughts and feelings, with dreams and ambitions. Esther was in her early teens when she was diagnosed, and like all teens, her battles with things like wanting a first kiss or staying up all night with friends in chat rooms were equally as prevalent as her battles with her illness. Esther's story constantly drives home the fact that a person with cancer is still a person before all else. Reading her story made me think a lot about sick kids and my journey as a sick kid, so I thought today I would sit down and talk to you about that because it is something that a lot of people don't really know about me. As a toddler, I learned to count in the stairwells of Wellington Hospital as Dad would walk me up and down the flights of stairs while waiting between rounds of tests or for results to come through. I've had more blood tests than birthdays, more x-rays than boyfriends or girlfriends. I've used more Emla cream than I have shaving cream. I've had to walk with a cane twice in my 25 years and I am half blind. I had my first operation when I was 18 months old to fix a squint in my blind eye. The doctors cut open the side of my eye and tightened up the muscles so that it would follow my good eye instead of staring straight at my nose. Sexy. By the time that I started school, my parents had noticed that I was growing at a much slower rate than all the other kids around me. The family doctor reassured them that, kids develop at their own rate, and sure enough, I'd catch up. At around about age 7, I was still being confused with the preschoolers down the road, and my parents thought it might be time to see a specialist. The specialist arranged for me to have an MRI scan, which showed that I have an underdeveloped pituitary gland. That's a gland that sits at the top of your brain stem near the hypothalamus, and it should be about the size of a pea. Mine is smaller than a baby pea. Think of the pituitary gland like the manager at DFTBA warehouse. It tells all the other glands what to produce and when and where to send it to and how much. When this doesn't work, nothing does. As a result of this, my whole endocrine system wasn't functioning properly, the most visible sign of which was my stunted growth. So I began treatment with a drug called genotropin. This involved nightly injections with a sort of pen-like instrument filled with a vial of human growth hormone. This took a lot of getting used to, and there was more than one occasion when my parents had to pin me down and inject me by force. My genotropin pen, syringes, and needles were kept in a case not dissimilar to the case that I keep my glasses in. If I ever wanted to stay over at a friend's house or go away on camp, I had to take this genotropin case with me inside a mini cooler bag and then store it in a fridge once I got to wherever I was staying. One night I was staying at a friend's house who opened the fridge to get a drink of milk. "Mom, who put their sunglasses in the fridge?" No one at school had ever heard of taking growth hormone injections, so when they heard that I had to inject myself nightly, they assumed that it was for diabetes. It was very difficult explaining it to them because I didn't fully understand it myself. As I got older, more issues started to crop up, especially as I approached puberty. Hormones central. I started taking drugs for my thyroid and adrenal glands, which, among other things, help manage your metabolism, appetite, and stress. 3 very big factors in a teenager's life. My treatment included visits to an endocrinology specialist every 3 months. These visits would cover everything from height and weight checks, blood tests, x-rays, eye tests, all sorts. There were extra visits for every time one of the treatments stopped working or my hormones did something new and weird. One particular visit had me take a day off school so I could sit in a hospital bed and have a vial of blood drawn every hour. That'll make you throw up like you wouldn't believe. Pro tip for nurses: 16-year-old girls can throw up a lot. Bring the bigger bucket. I learned to value nurses not by which ones had the better candy, but by which ones didn't baby talk to me and which ones could draw blood the first time, and also which ones listened to me when I told them which vein they should draw the blood from. Another pro tip for nurses: when a regular patient tells you it's this vein, this one's the gold mine, don't ignore them and then spend 10 minutes looking for an impossible vein in their hand, because they will throw up on you and pass out. By age 16, I was off all drugs for hormone-related treatment, and I'd sort of reached the limits of what a child treatment of genotropin could do for me. My specialist at the time said while adult genotropin was an option, it would A, be very expensive at $30,000 a year because the government doesn't fund adult growth hormone, and B, held a lot more risks than benefits to me. I continued my 3 to 6 monthly visits, and around the age of 17 or 18, I was discharged from endocrine outpatients with an almost full bill of health. I still have a lot of problems that I face each day, but I've learned to deal with them in my own little manageable ways. I've learned to stand up slower and drink less because of my low blood pressure. I've learned that because of taking genotropin, I can never be a blood donor. I've learned that I tire easier than any of my friends and that my body takes a lot longer to heal. I've learned to live with anxiety and depression, and with the fact that I may never have children. More than all of that, I've learned to be thankful that I live in a country that provides free healthcare for children with conditions like this. My family, who were there for me for all of the ups and downs and every hospital visit, and thankful for the existence of people like Esther, who, despite having conditions immeasurably worse than mine, still managed to live lives full of awesome. If you would like to have your own copy of This Star Won't Go Out, and I highly recommend you do, use the link down in the description because it helps support the channel. And finally, thank you to Esther for living a life so full of love and for sharing that life and that love with the whole world. Rest in awesome, Esther. See you next week! Where I learnt, oh, there's a siren. Stop it!